everybody, it's Allie from Allie's Best, and today I wanted to talk to you about something that has been bothering me lately. Recently, since I've been making more content on YouTube about being Jewish and I start trying to build a Jewish life for myself, getting back to Judaism, but also for my daughter Bowie, I have been struggling with what I'm calling Jewish Imposter Syndrome, which if you're not familiar with the term imposter syndrome, it basically means that despite the evidence, like the factual evidence that you are capable of something, you feel as though you're a fraud and everyone's going to find out that you don't know how to do the thing that you say you know how to do, that you are not as good as other people at the thing that you're worried about. And for me, I am feeling that about Judaism. I have been feeling like despite how much reading I do, despite my pretty, I think, thorough Jewish background, I'm feeling like I'm not Jewish enough. Since being put into this Jewish YouTube, Instagram world, I feel like I am sort of comparing myself to a lot of other people. Like I'm not a good enough Jew. And I know that these things are really, that's a really damaging idea, not just to me, but to Jewish society as a whole, to think that there is such a thing as a good Jew and a bad Jew and a better Jew and a worse Jew. One, we really, I think, need to be accepting of all of us who are Jews, because that makes our community stronger and more supportive and bigger. It's also damaging to everyone's self-esteem, because if you personally identify as being a Jewish person, it doesn't feel good to feel like, yeah, I'm Jewish, but I'm a bad Jew. That seems really messed up to me. So I was thinking about whether or not I even wanted to make this video, but I was scrolling through Instagram and Hey Alma or Kveller or one of those posted while you're scrolling, was stop scrolling. If you're reading this, you're Jewish enough. And I just was surprised at the idea that there are probably so many Jewish people that feel this way, that feel like bad Jews, and that's ridiculous. I wanted to come on here and talk about why I think there are so many people who doubt their own Judaism and what we kind of do to perpetuate this good Jew, bad Jew dichotomy. Dichotomy? Is that a word? This good Jew, bad Jew binary. And see if we can't come to some solutions. One of the reasons I think I'm struggling with this is I think that I also struggle with a big sense of Ashkenazi normativity. I was raised around basically all white presenting Ashkenazi Jews, and I loved growing up and I love my friends, and I don't really think there's a huge problem in that, but I think it makes me even have that framework. Since so many people spent time doubting my Jewishness, it made me doubt my Jewishness somewhere at that basic level. I'm also adopted, and that people have told me over so many years that some people wouldn't even consider me Jewish and all these things. And I think that gets into your subconscious and starts to make a toxic environment inside your own head about your own identity, and makes you question yourself. So I think I'm struggling with that, and I think there are definitely other people struggling with that. So those of you who are Jews of color and don't struggle with that, that's baller, because it's definitely something I struggle with. And I try not to, obviously, because to me, I do feel like I have a strong Jewish identity, but it's when I start to compare myself to other Jews, especially online, that I'm like, oh, well, I don't have XYZ prayer memorized anymore, and I do need to like look up the tune for the Hanukkah prayer every year. Like I know the words, but I can't remember like how to chant it. And, you know, stuff like that. Like, oh, it gets into my head. And that kind of brings me to the next thing. It's like, there's this automaticity we expect with Judaism. Like, people online make it seem like they know all of these things automatically. Like, it's such an ingrained part of their lives. Like, of course they know exactly what prayers to say at Passover because they are these like Jewish internet geniuses. And it seems so automatic, but like, I think the reality is lots of Jewish people like use like prayer books in Sidurim to guide them through Jewish praying life. Needing to do some research, needing to double check, needing to read along isn't a flaw of your Jewishness. I think, you know, doing some research about your religion makes you stronger and more knowledgeable, and it's not a competition, don't get me wrong. Gosh, I feel like this is so rambly, and I hope I get together something somewhat meaningful because I do know people are struggling with this. You know, part of the reason why I made this channel was I wanted to help people understand that you didn't have to be an expert really in anything to live a good, happy, exciting, creative life, and that you didn't need to be an expert in Judaism to live a wonderful, fulfilling Jewish life. I have a pretty full Jewish resume, and I doubt myself, so I imagine people who didn't get to go to Hebrew school, who didn't get to have bar bat mitzvahs, who didn't get to have, you know, Jewish summer camp and go to Israel and all this kind of stuff. We need to value that the Jewish experience is really different across the world, across the country, even across our own communities, and that's not a negative thing. It can actually bring a lot to our Jewish community if we start to embrace the differences between everyone's experience. Another reason why I think so many of us Jews struggle with this Jewish imposter syndrome is because there are so many different ways to be a Jew. You can be religiously Jewish, ethnically Jewish, culturally Jewish, you know, Jew by choice, Jew by birth, all of these different ways to be Jewish. And even within those, you know, we have, you know, Orthodox, we have Reform, we have Reconstructionist, conservative, all these different denominations of Judaism. And even within every denomination, every synagogue does things differently. There are so many ways to be Jews. And when one person really values, say, being a religious Jew, and another person really values being an ethnic Jew, and they don't really cross over, like one doesn't think Judaism is an ethnicity and one doesn't think that the religion really matters. It's more about the like cultural aspects. Like people start to want to doubt each other in order to defend their own stance of their own identity. And that's why, again, like we really need to try to be welcoming of everyone. I've been letting my Jewish imposter syndrome get in the way of things I wanted to share on the internet, of things I wanted to try at home, of things I wanted to discuss with friends, of some of the goals I made. I have definitely allowed my Jewish imposter syndrome really affect a lot of the things I was excited and passionate about recently. One of my goals this year with you is I really want all of us to, one, like not compare our Jewish life to other people's Jewish lives. Like they can look different, they will look different, they should look different, and no one is an expert. That's one of the beautiful things about Judaism. It's like, it's all about, you know, questioning and growing and learning and changing and developing and discussing, the religion and the texts and our ways of life, and really like exploring that, because it's at the core of our religion and culture. It's impossible to be 100% an expert on everything about Judaism, because there's just too much and it's ever developing. This video has been so rambly, and I basically just want to get across, like, I really doubt any of you think I'm an expert on Judaism, but if you do, don't. None of us are. And I really was just making this for myself because, Allie, you need to stop doubting yourself. Wash this back. You need to stop doubting yourself, and you can share whatever you want to share, however you want to share it about Judaism. And you don't need to compare yourself to the other phenomenal, amazing, smart, well-researched women on the internet who are also incredibly great at sharing Jewish content. I don't know if we got to any solutions. I don't even know if this was valuable to anyone. This is really me like working out my own mind in front of a camera. If you like it, give it a like. If you don't like this kind of video, give it a dislike. Let me know. And if you're interested in exploring Judaism with me further and more deeply this year, because that's one of my goals, please like this video, subscribe below, comment what you want to see from me, and I would love to make that video for you. Let's all work on it. We are all good Jews. We are all Jewish enough, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.